You're listening to KNX In Depth with Mike Simpson. I'm Charles Feldman. Right now, though, the case for suing California over the sanctuary state law. Now, while Governor Brown dismissed the Justice Department lawsuit as a political stunt, Attorney General Jeff Sessions argues that the sanctuary state law puts both the public and law enforcement in grave danger. Federal law, says Sessions, is the supreme law of the land, and California isn't free to decide, he says, which laws it will or will not enforce. State Senator Jeff Stone, a Republican from Riverside County, was at the Sessions speech this morning. I don't know if you heard our last segment. We had Kevin De Leon on, and he takes, of course, great issue with the Attorney General and with the position that the feds are taking. And I would not be surprised that you have the opposite view.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. I think our Senate leader, with all due respects, is very disingenuous in some of his comments. You know, he was the author of SB 54, and if you look at the original version on it, here he said on your radio show that he believes that anybody that is a felon that's undocumented should be deported out of this country. Then the question has to be, why in his original version of SB 54 did he allow elder abuse, domestic violence, driving by a drive-by shooter, taking a hostage, or murder for hire? Why were those originally included as crimes under which local authorities could not communicate with ICE? It was only after Governor Brown told him, I'm not going to sign this bill unless you get rid of all these very violent felonies. And the senator, again, with all due respects, he's in a heated race with Senator Dianne Feinstein, wanted to say that he was the author of a sanctuary state bill, but this is basically a watered-down sanctuary state bill that basically is the Trust Act on some steroids. But, you know, the Attorney General made a very clear and convincing argument. First of all, he said, there were various law enforcement agencies there, and he made it very clear that he stands with the women and men in blue. How refreshing that is to hear. And he brought up, you know, when ICE was going to go into Oakland, and when the mayor of that city warned immigrants that they were coming after you, that mayor put public safety officers at risk. And thank God, no public safety officers were harmed or were killed. Mr. Sessions also said he supports legal immigration, and he highlighted that the United States accepts over 1.3 million immigrants into our country annually. That's more than any other nation on this planet. But he also said that he and the Department of Justice will not allow the state of California to usurp federal law. Even the pro tem admitted that immigration issues are 100% under the purview of the federal government, and the federal government is going to sue the state of California for interfering with their exclusive role in dealing with immigration issues.
And one more thing. In the room with the peace officers, I'm just curious. Yeah. Did you talk to any of them, and what are they thinking, some of these chiefs? I imagine they don't want to be caught in the middle of any of this.
Of course they don't. You know, another thing that the pro tem said is that his bill is protecting people that are dreamers, that are protecting innocent people at risk of deportation. The Attorney General made it very clear. They're going after criminals, the criminals that have committed serious crimes in the state. He didn't talk about rounding up innocent immigrants that came here for a better life. I think the Trump administration is leaning towards accepting dreamers here. We're talking about dangerous people that have circumvented the law here, and unfortunately, local authorities are not given the privilege anymore of communicating with ICE to make sure that these dangerous individuals that prey on dreamers in our communities have a right to be in this country.
Let me ask you the same question I asked Mr. De Leon, which is that this sort of litigation ends up costing all of us, taxpayers. The feds are going to end up, it's going to cost the feds money to take this to court. It's going to take the state. Mr. De Leon says it comes out of, I think he said his budget, but his budget actually is our budget. That's because correct. It's my money and it's Mike's money, it's your money. It's his money too. So how much is this going to cost?
This is going to cost the state of California, in the long run, millions of dollars. Mr. Eric Holder was hired by the state Senate, and I'll guarantee you he is not at $200 an hour. He's probably way up there. And he is enjoying every minute of this.
Right? At least $250.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But let's be clear. The United States Constitution delegates the authority of immigration to the federal government. And you cannot have a state usurp the federal Constitution. That is called the Supremacy Clause of the U.S. Constitution. I'm going to opine, and I'm not an attorney, but I've spoken with enough public safety officials and attorneys to know that, yes, we have a Ninth Court of Appeals court that, makes political decisions instead of legal decisions. It probably will end up in the U.S. Supreme Court, but I'm going to opine that the United States government is going to prevail. Listen, Mr. Trump made his election on this one issue, and the other side's got to understand that President Trump won the election. Since we got back here in January of 17, it's been resolution after resolution to poke this president in the eye and to not try to work with this president that controls $1 billion a day coming into this state. So, we gotta start working with this president and being cooperative, but we have to understand the balance of power here. The federal government has the jurisdiction of immigration. They're going after undocumented immigrants that have a criminal history. And if we're not going to cooperate with them, as I mentioned on the floor when we discussed SB 54, if you're not going to cooperate, and Mr. Sessions made this very clear, they're going to go into communities and they're going to search out these undocumented felons. And if they run across people that are here illegally, they could be a byproduct and get deported. So if innocent people get deported in the state of California, it's not because Jeff Sessions has instigated it. It's because Senator De Leon, with his bill, and the Democratic legislature supported it, condoned it. And that's the truth.
Yeah, State Senator Jeff Stone, with his perspective there, Republican from Riverside County. He was at the speech by Mr. Sessions this morning, Senator. Thank you. The speech by